Hey, I'm Jesse. Let's have a devotion. As we study the book of Ruth, we're seeing it echo throughout the New Testament. Yesterday we introduced the text. I want to read it again. It's Luke chapter 6, beginning in verse 37. It's going to sound familiar, but verse 38 is going to resonate with you in a way that I hope is touching and clear as it's depicted in the book of Ruth centuries before this takes place. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure. Here's where we see Boaz giving Ruth barley. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. This huge measure that is pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured back to you. He also told them a parable. Can the blind guide the blind? Won't they both fall into a pit? A disciple is not above his teacher, but everyone who is fully trained will be like his teacher. Why do you look at the splinter in your brother's eye, but don't notice the beam of wood in your own eye? Or how can you say to your brother, Brother, let me take out the splinter that's in your eye when you yourself don't see the beam of wood in your eye? Hypocrite, first take the beam out of your eye, first take the beam of wood out of your eye, then you will see clearly to take the splinter out of your brother's eye. This is like the critic of Christianity's favorite verse to quote, but usually just the first two words, not even the complete sentence, much less the whole message. We're going to cover this as well when we get to Matthew chapter 6 and 7 in the Sermon on the Mount. This is also covered. This is Luke's account of the same thing. It opens up with the Beatitudes, and he makes his way here to this message, do not judge. You can see the connection from verse 37, do not judge, to how we show proper judgment when confronting sin among one another with the illustration of the beam of wood and the splinter. But right in the middle of these two is this depiction of a good measure being poured out to you, right? That you give and it will be given to you. A good measure, that's verse 38. This is depicted by the way that Boaz doesn't just send Ruth home with like a snack pack. He sends Ruth back to Naomi over and over again with, in chapter 3, 6 measures of barley. In Ruth chapter 3, we see her perhaps struggle to take it home because in her shawl, she brings the shawl she was wearing in Ruth chapter 3 verse 15, and he told Ruth, bring the shawl you're wearing, hold it out. And when she held it out, he shoveled 6 measures of barley into her shawl, and she went into town. Like 6 measures. I mean, she's going home with like a month's worth of food right there. This is beautiful. Look what Boaz is doing. Boaz is giving and giving and giving generously. Now stay tuned. This weekend you're going to see more and more about how Boaz then receives back truly above and beyond what he could give away. Give and it will be given to you, a good measure. Pressed down, meaning this measure of barley, the depiction of what people would use their shawls for, their long robes for, it is not just one of those bags of chips that's mostly nitrogen so that it doesn't go stale. Like, it is pressed down. It's pure barley. It's shaken together to get all the air out. All right. And it's running over, which means that you know for a fact, not only up to the full line, it runs over. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be poured into your lap. Okay, so you can see Ruth holding out her shawl, and then Boaz just shoveling. Literally, that's what the text says, shoveled. In Ruth chapter 3, verse 15, shoveled 6 measures, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, be poured into your lap. With the measure you use, it will be measured back to you. Boaz does this, and he receives the same thing back from the Lord. Boaz is a depiction of what Jesus is teaching right here in the Sermon on the Mount. So, and for the rest of the week, we're going to camp out here. We're going to talk about this picture from Ruth and Boaz's generosity to Ruth, and we're going to go through this passage. So we'll be very well acquainted when we get to our study of the Gospel of Matthew next with this particular portion of the Sermon on the Mount as it's represented in Luke's Gospel. So let's begin with just that first aspect of it. Give, and it will be given to you. All right, this is beautiful. This is Golden Rule Simple. This is Vacation Bible School Basic. It is Ethics 101, really, right? Give and it will be given to you. You love your neighbor as yourself, right? You do unto others as you would have them do unto you, kind of the old school King James rendering of it. So if it's one thing to just sort of walk softly, right, and not stir the pot, and not offend anybody, that's one way to live. But I think this actually is a call to do something quite different. It is in fact a call unto generosity. The word does say give and it will be given to you. Those who never rock the boat, those who never engage, those who lead lives of isolation will never experience this. You will not have given back to you what you have given to others. It does in fact say give, my friends. Would you let that depiction of Boaz embodying this, giving to Ruth, and not just giving, but giving a full measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, pouring into the lap of this Moabitess woman? Would you give, and give generously, not with the added secret incentive that you're going to receive the same thing back, but you give because the text does in fact say give? Would you give today? Find someone to whom you can show generosity. I've been the recipient of incredible generosity from people from the Redemption Church. Thank you so much. And man, I can tell you firsthand, it's a blessing to give. I love being on both sides of that equation. It takes a little bit more humility to receive gifts sometimes, but man, it's a really great thing to give gifts. It's especially easy to give. So I want to encourage you, if you've not yet practiced that, would you do so? Would you enact, and would you experience exactly what this text describes? Be like Boaz and go give today. I'll see you tomorrow.